Hey everyone, this is Dan King from Fist Bump Media, and I would just want to say thank you for taking the time to join our webinar, how to manage email addresses in the hosting account. The purpose of this is really to help you understand that with your hosting account, you get email addresses that can go with your website. So if your website is myawesomewebsite.com, you can have me at myawesomewebsite.com, or whatever kind of email address and stuff you want. So because that stuff comes with your hosting account, we want to make sure that you understand how you can set those up, how you can use those, how you can access that email a few different ways, and all kinds of stuff. Change your settings and whatever you need to do with it. So with that, really, I'm just going to kind of dive in, and I'm going to do some screen sharing. I'm going to walk through several different functions with how to set up the email addresses in your hosting account and manage and access all that email several different ways. So with that, boom, there's a big fist bump for you. Let's get ready to go, and I am going to share my screen. Okay. The first thing when we're looking at how do we do this is access your client account with us. If you have a hosting account or other services through Fist Bump Media, you'll have a client account with us. So you would have gone through, entered some information in the system and stuff like that too. That login and everything that you created. This is not the login for your website. This is the login for your client account at Fist Bump Media. To get there, basically, from the fistbumpmedia.com homepage, you can just click on Customer Portal. And then you'll get to a login screen for the client system where you can access your dashboard. And I'm going to log in here. And then once you're logged in, the email addresses, this is your client dashboard, right? And your email addresses are functions that are associated with your hosting account. And the hosting account is going to be one of the listed under services, right? So for my dashboard, I can either get there by going to services and picking I have several different setup in my account and everything, but I can access it from there, or even if you scroll down a little bit too, and you see your active products and services stuff, you'll see maybe different hosting accounts or services that you might have running on your account, but it'll be the hosting account that you want to access. I'm going to use this one here for fistbump.media, a hosting account that I have set up. And then with that, when I click on that, that'll bring me to the management page for this hosting product, for this hosting service, for the domain name that I have, fistbump.media. Okay, so you can see overview of some things, what package I'm on, how much disk usage, bandwidth I'm using, things like that. A few quick functions here to log into cPanel, and ultimately cPanel is where a lot of these functions kind of reside, right? But really from this page, the first thing I'll show you too is if you just kind of scroll down a little bit, there's a few quick shortcuts, and these are all shortcuts from the cPanel stuff for some very common functions. And you'll notice that there's email accounts, email forwarders, autoresponders. We'll talk about these things and stuff, even things like add-on domains and stuff like that too. So there's a few quick shortcuts here and everything that we can use. So you can either go to cPanel, we'll do that here in a second, or you can use these quick shortcuts to get directly to those functions within cPanel. Even better, if you know the email address that you want to create, right, there's a quick create email account function down here. And you see it's already populated with the at your domain name, in this case at fistbump.media, and you could just create a name. So I can just say, hey, I want Dan at fistbump.media and give it a password. Let's see, I'll give this a little random-ish password that I know, and then I can click on the create button. Okay, so boom, just like that. I can create an email address, and that email address is live and ready for me to use right now. We'll get into how to access that stuff here in a minute too, but I just want to make sure that I'm going through and pointing out how we can add and manage these things and stuff too. So now I'm going to go. Well, you can see I'm going to go to email accounts. You can access that from quick shortcuts, but just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to go all the way to log into cPanel. That's going to open up the full cPanel here as well. And then from the full cPanel, you see this email section, right? So the email section will have a lot of different functions in there and everything too. So, we can do things, like, change the level of, spam filters and things like that, so that, if you're getting too much spam come through, we can change those levels and that kind of thing too. But email accounts, that's the same thing we saw back out here. When we looked at email accounts right there in the quick shortcuts, it's this email accounts tool here. And I'm going to go to that real quick, because this is where, we can see the email accounts that we have and add more email accounts and whatnot too. So you can see that email that we just added, that dan@fistbump.media, was just created. And right now there's 0 used, and there's a few actions here and stuff too. We'll get into these actions, but access webmail, manage suspension, you can turn it on off if you need to, change the password, authentication, connect devices, several of the, and even delete. If you want to delete the email, you can just click on that too, but that will remove anything, old messages, all that stuff and everything from the server and stuff too. So if you're going to delete, just make sure that that's something you actually really want to do. So you can see those emails here too, and we'll manage some of that stuff here in a moment. But again, right now I'm looking at adding new email addresses. So from email accounts, you can go to add email account, and then I could say, let me create another email at fistbump.media. So the email address names, can really be anything you want, right? So you can say me@fistbump.media, your name, your first name dot your last name, your first name last name with no spaces or symbols or anything like that. Whatever you want to do, and that's fine. And then you'll see too an option here for domain. I'll talk about that more in just a moment, but if you have others that you need to add email addresses and stuff for too, you can select that. And then password, you could either type in a password or have it generate a random password, right? If you generate a random password, it'll look kind of crazy, kind of like that, right? If you do that, make sure you copy paste that so that you can use that again. Maybe even paste it into the password again field, so you enter that password twice as you're doing that. And then mailbox quota, you can set it so that the mailbox is maybe a certain size, or you can say unlimited. So that way it's not going to hit certain size restrictions or anything like that, and that's fine too. Send a welcome email. I just usually uncheck that too, because we usually it's really just kind of sending all the configurations, and I'm going to show you where all those configurations and stuff like that are. But it doesn't hurt anything to have that sent. So basically, this path you can see a little bit more detailed than the quick add, but add the name, add a password, type it twice, choose the quota that I want, and then click create account, and then boom, that email account has been created. So if I go back to email accounts, you see I set up my another at fistbump.media, also as another email account. Okay. So now, if you have several domains and you're managing more than just your main domain name, in this case, fistbump.media, and want to have an email address, that goes along with that domain name, but you don't actually have the full website. Maybe you do, or maybe you don't. It really doesn't matter. But if you have multiple domain names and stuff on your hosting account, you can typically do this. If your domain name is not set up with its own hosting account, if it is, then you would go there and do these functions straight up, right? You can add a domain name as an add-on domain. Right? So back from the main cPanel, not in the email functions here, but in the domains function, you can go to add-on domain. And this one doesn't exist, but to kind of give you an idea, another fistbump.com, right? And then when I do that, if I click on this add domain, it's just going to give me an error because it doesn't exist. But if I add that as an add-on domain name, it'll show up down here in this list of add-on domains. Then when I do that and I come back to email accounts and then add email account, right? It's going to give me that, like I said, that option here that I said I would talk about in a moment, that option for domain name, that new domain name that I added, would show up, and I would be adding the email address for that. So in this case, just using a subdomain and stuff, so yeah, so that's just adding a domain name. You would first need to add it as an add-on domain, and then you can add the email addresses and stuff to your account using that other domain name if you would like. Okay. All right. So taking a look at managing email accounts that we currently have, you could do a few things, right? I mentioned access webmail. So look at disk and quota. This is where if I wanted to change and say, when I first set it up, it actually set it with a maximum, and I just want to make that unlimited. I can change that setting there too, or I can limit it, or I can uncap it and make it unlimited, or whatever, whichever you want to go. You can change that disk and quota. Manage suspension. You can change it at several different levels, right? If it's an email address that you want to make sure maybe there's somebody on your team or organization or something like that that you no longer want them to be able to access the email, you can suspend login for it. You can still access it from the back end here too, but that would prevent them from logging in. Another way to actually do that too, if you needed to stop somebody from accessing a webmail that's on your account, is maybe even change the password and stuff as well too. But you can change to several different levels too. So depending if you want to allow that email address to continue to send or receive, you can suspend or put things on hold and whatnot. Typically in normal function state, it's all going to be set to allow, but you can suspend and stop things based on what your need is. Okay. Password and authentication will allow you to change the password. So if you forget what your password is, or you feel like maybe, hey, I've been hacked or something like that, my email's been hacked, I need to change the password to stop it, then again, you log into your client account, right? Access your email accounts, get here, and then under password authentication, you can change that password to whatever you want. And that's the case too, like I said, if there's somebody in your organization, if you don't want to suspend the account necessarily, you can change the password to something that they wouldn't know, so that they wouldn't be able to access that email either. So if you need to change it for security purposes like that, or for your own benefit, hey, I don't know what my password is, that's where you can actually change that. Okay. And then I'll talk about connect devices here in just a moment, but the other thing would be delete. If I'll do this to another account I have up here, if you need to delete it, just confirm. You can just then confirm and say, hey, yes, delete that. Just a word of caution on that. If you delete an account, it will remove any of the messages and things like that that are part of, associated with that email account from the server. So you would no longer have access to those. So before you delete, just make sure that you're ready to actually delete and remove all of that functionality from your account. Okay, so once you have an email account, one of the things you can do for accessing it is if it's an email account that you want to have the email address, and maybe it's just a kind of a vanity email address, right? So say dan@fistbump.media is just an email address that I want to have because it's easy to say or really cool, or maybe I don't want to tell people my actual name and give out like a generic like support@fistbump.media or something like that. Whatever reason, if you have an email address, and the easiest thing to do if you primarily use another email address and you just want the messages for this new email address to get forwarded to your other email address, then we can set up email forwarding. Okay, so for that, you'll see that back here. If you're looking from your dashboard, you see in the quick shortcuts, you see forwarders. Okay, but also from in the cPanel in the email section as well too, you see forwarders here. Okay, and I say I am managing domain for fistbump.media. I want to add a forwarder, and I'll say for email sent to Dan at fistbump.media, forward it to Dan at fistbumpmedia.com. Okay. And there's some advanced options and stuff too if you need to get tricky with it and stuff. But typically for basic forwarding, just say, hey, this is the email address that I want forwarded, and this is where I want to forward it to, and then I add the forwarder. Okay, so now any emails that are sent to Dan at fistbump.media will be copied over and sent to Dan at fistbumpmedia.com. Okay, so if that's forwarding. Forwarding is pretty simple and stuff. So now you can kind of see that forwarder is set up there too. So if I need to stop that, I can delete it at any time. Trace is really kind of more for troubleshooting issues and stuff. So yeah, that's the way you would actually set and manage that. And also just for informational purposes too, add a forwarder. I just added a forwarder for an individual email address from one email to another. You can add a domain forwarder too. So you can say, every email address on any email address on at fistbump.media, forward that to here. So if you're kind of consolidating, kind of cleaning house and stuff, and you have several email addresses and stuff, and just need them all to go to one spot, you can set up a forwarder for the entire domain as well too. Okay. Now forwarding is different than setting up and getting the email in different places and stuff too. Now we'll talk about now how do you access the email. Okay, so there are several ways, and I'm going to come back here to the main cPanel. So there's several ways you can do this, right? And first, I do want to show you at fistbumpmedia.com. Okay, at fistbumpmedia.com, there's a link up in the top menu bar for webmail login, and that's for you, right? So if you need to access your webmail, it'll bring you to the screen where you just enter the email address and your password. Okay, that'll take you into the email. I'll get there in just a moment because I want to show you a couple of different things too, but also from the client dashboard area, right? When we're looking at your hosting account where you have the quick shortcuts and everything too, just like we have login to cPanel under the actions, we have login to webmail as well. Okay, so that will also bring you to the webmail login screen. So there are several different ways to be able to get to it, but also if you're in there managing things from within your account, you have several, say, email addresses and stuff, you go to email accounts. From here, I can say access webmail. Okay, so regardless, any way you access this is going to bring you ultimately to the same place. Once you get to that login screen and you log in, right, it's going to ask you then to choose a default webmail application. Okay, so there are basically several different tools you can use. Horde, Roundcube, or SquirrelMail are some basic webmail tools in there. Really, the difference between them is cosmetic, maybe some slight functionality, but they're really all going to do pretty much the same thing. So it's really completely up to you for which one you prefer to use. If you prefer to use one, you can set it as the default, so then it'll then bypass this screen, so you don't have to click on it every time in order to go in. So when you sign in, it'll automatically. So I'm going to choose round cube and go in there real quick. When you sign in from the login screen, it'll automatically bring you here, bypassing that one screen. Okay. So from in here, it's basic webmail. And you can send, you can receive. Obviously, I don't have any emails in here yet. I'll send one to myself real quick. Dan, Fistbump Media. This is awesome. And first message. Woo! Okay. And then I'm going to send that. Okay. And I can refresh, and then boom. See, I get the email for myself. Yeah, it's a little trick. You can't send an email to yourself, right? So anyway, that way you can see there then you know what an email looks like and stuff in your webmail. First message, boom, done. Go back to inbox and manage from there. So there's several functions, and I'm going to cover them all in here too. But you know, if you want to set up an email signature or stuff like that too, you know, things that you can manage within your settings and whatnot. But that's accessing your webmail. Pretty simple. So you know, you can access it straight from fistbumpmedia.com webmail login. And I want to show you another little trick too. If you do your domain name media/webmail, okay, that should also redirect you. In this case, I don't have an SSL installed right there for that domain name yet. It'll direct you to your webmail, so it'll get you to the right screen for your webmail login and stuff. So you can log in. And well, go to round cube, and there it is. Okay. So that's a little trick. Your domain name /webmail. You can go to fistbumpmedia.com, and up in the top menu bar, the webmail login will get you to the webmail login screen, or from within your client account, you can log into webmail. Or from within the cPanel, you can access it directly from there too. So the most direct path is go to fistbumpmedia.com, log in from there, or yourdomain.com, not technically, but your domain name /webmail will get you to the login screen, so you can log into your webmail. Okay, so that's that. It's pretty simple to get to. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about setting up email on your computer. Okay, so if you have you know, like a Outlook or Microsoft Outlook or something like that you're using, or you know, email program on your Mac or whatever, you know, you can set up the email. You don't have to use the webmail. You can set up your email to send and receive and everything from your software. Okay, so I've got Outlook here too. I can use just this as an example. Right now, there's no email addresses set up in here, but I want to take a look at how we can connect that. So there's a couple different ways, right? One is under Connect Devices, right? And you also see this too, and I'll point this out real quick. Let's see, access webmail. I'm gonna point this out as well too, because the same information and stuff like too. When you get to this screen where you can choose your webmail program, there's some information down here too about mail client automatic configuration scripts and settings. Okay, so the settings down here too, or the settings that we're really going for that you need in order to set up email on on some software or elsewhere, wherever you want to manage it. Okay, but I'll talk about this automatic configuration script here in just a second too. But also from here, right? From within your cPanel, look at the email accounts. You click on connect devices, and then set up email client. Okay, it'll bring you to a screen just for this information, right? So there's two things on here that I want to point out. One is the auto configuration scripts. Okay, so one way, a very simple way to do this is you could grab, depending on the system you're using, right? If you're using Microsoft Outlook 2000 for Windows, or if you're on Macintosh, operating system using the Mail app there. There are these scripts, right? So basically what you can do is you just download these scripts, okay? And I'm using like Outlook, right? Download the script, okay? And then it says if you're prompted to, it'll automatically install. It gives you basic instructions here, right? If you're prompted to open, run, or save this file, choose run or open. If your computer asks if you would like to enter the information in the registry, choose yes, and then use your email account password as the password, right? So whatever password you set up your email account with is what you would use, right? You proceed, and it's going to download the script and will allow you to run all that. I'm not going to run all that script right now too, because I want to show you also manually how to do that. But the script is the easy way. So if you can do that, if you can make that work, then that is perfect. That's the ideal way to go. That will contain all the settings that you need all in there. You just type in your password and you're all set and good to go. Okay. The other way too is to set it up manually. Okay. So these are the settings. Basically, your username for your email address is the full email address. The password is whatever you set up the password. And then there you have an incoming server and outgoing server names. Okay. Server name, genesis.fistbumpmedia.com for both incoming and outgoing. And then you'll need a port number too that it's going to basically talk through for incoming and outgoing stuff, right? For outgoing, it's all the same. It's all this 465. For incoming, there are two different ports, right? Depending on whether you're using IMAP or POP3. And if you're curious to, basically down here, there's definitions of what IMAP and POP3 are. But just for simplicity's sake, IMAP does kind of a back and forth communication in syncs, right? So if I install this on Outlook on my computer, it will make sure that what I see in Outlook on my computer is still synced, so that if I get online later and use webmail, I'll see the same thing in webmail. Okay, so it stays synced that way back and forth. POP3 will actually download that email into Outlook on your computer. So if you're using POP3 and you want to get on webmail later, you won't see those emails that you already see in your Outlook because they've been downloaded and removed from the server side where the webmail is. Okay, so it really depends. Both are great. So it just depends on your preference. If you don't plan on using anything else other than like just the Outlook on your computer, on your laptop or stuff like that too, then POP3 is going to work great for you. Okay, but if you plan on maybe popping around or want to be able to have access, if you're at a friend's house and want to get on your webmail, check it out or something like that too, or if you're checking from your phone and on your computer and stuff, Outlook on your computer, then you'll want to use IMAP because that'll make sure that all the different devices that you have set up are all synced and connected. Okay. So to set it up, I'll just take a quick look in Outlook. We do have instructions, step-by-step instructions for these. If you're back in your client dashboard under support, we've got a knowledge base, and we're building more content for the knowledge base now as we speak. But under email, you'll see setting up your email in Outlook 2016. And really pretty simple step-by-steps and stuff, right? It's you could do a kind of automatic or manual settings and stuff where you're just going to choose, again, are you going to do POP or IMAP? Whichever one you choose is fine. It's going to ask for things like your name, email address, and again, in this case, it chose IMAP. Incoming, outgoing mail servers are the same, the genesis.fistbumpmedia.com. And then again, username, remember, username is the full email address. Some systems will kind of truncate that stuff for you automatically, but just make sure it's the full email address and whatever the password is you set up. And you will usually want to check anything saying require login using secure password authentication, because that's the setting we're using, is the secure sessions and stuff. And then typically that gets the basic settings there. In Outlook, if you go to more settings, you'll need to double check that the port numbers for incoming and outgoing, make sure that they match what's in your configuration here. IMAP port 993 and outgoing SMTP is 465 is what we see on the screens there. So that's simply walking through, and it's, as you can see, it's not super complicated to set that up manually like that within your Outlook. But you can see too that if you can get away with running a script, right, that will do the automatic kind of run and install for you and everything too, then that would be the ideal way to go. Then you don't have to worry about messing up any of those settings or anything. So that's ideal. But if you need to go through manual, you can set that up manually as well. Okay. Also, too, I'll bump back here in the knowledge base. Okay. Also, too, you can set up the email in another online tool like Gmail to send and receive as that account. Okay, so basically the knowledge base, we've got the step-by-step settings there as well too. But what you do is you go to your settings from within your Gmail, and again, check which way you want to do it. You want to add POP3, IMAP, whatever, right? Check email from other accounts. If you're doing a Gmail, I usually recommend just doing a POP3, because that's the Gmail interface is probably going to then be it's going to replace your webmail. You don't need to get into webmail if you're using Gmail, because Gmail is a webmail, or you can just manage that all in the same place. So typically I set that up as POP3. It's going to ask you to, on an email address screen, enter the email address, and then you see the mail server settings, right? Enter your username, which is the full email address, and your password. It's going to ask you for the POP server and the port, right? I usually do things like leave a copy of retrieved messages on the server unchecked, because if you're using the Gmail as your webmail stuff too, if you leave a copy of the message on the server, that's on the web server side, then those messages will just pile up over the years. It can then kind of clog down and bog up, and just get to be big, because especially if you get a lot of emails with attachments and things like that too. Always use the secure connection checked, and then other options are personal preference, but we usually leave them unchecked. Once you get through that too, then it's going to ask you if you want to be able to send as that email, right? Because this first is going to walk through the screens for how to get email from your email address, and then it's going to ask you if you want to send, and it's the same thing. It's just set up your settings. You see the server, the username is the full email address, the port number, the password. Use the secure SSL setting and stuff too. And then you'll see what that does in the Gmail then is it gives you the option of, you'll see I can send mail as either my Gmail address or as the email address that I just set up, right? And in fact, if you want to send email as the default, make your new one your default email, but you're just using the Gmail interface to do it. people will get that email, in this case, from dan@bibledude.net instead of danbelieves@gmail, right? If I make it the default like that. But when you're managing the email stuff too, if you're sending, you can always change when you enter, who the message is going to. You can always change who it's from. So if you have multiple accounts set up in there in your Gmail, you can always say, send this one from this email or from the actual Gmail address. So easy way to set that up and manage email within an online webmail interface like Gmail. A lot of people do that. I've done that for several years and stuff too. So pretty great, easy tool to be able to manage that. And again, those instructions can be found in the knowledge base under support, and then go to knowledge base. Okay. So with that, that is really all of the big primary functions with how to manage your email in your hosting account. So as usual, if you have any questions or you need anything related to managing your email, or you get stuck with anything like that too, don't hesitate to hit us up. You can always, if you're in your dashboard, go to support, open a ticket, or send an email to support@fistbumpmedia.com, and that will, if the email is coming from an email address that's in your client account with us, then that'll open a ticket for you as well too. But regardless, either way, feel free to reach out. Let us know if you need any support, need any help. We're always happy to kind of check it out. And if you feel like you might have broke something, just let us know. Chances are you probably didn't break anything. So, but we're here to help, and hope this session was helpful for you. Have a great big fist bump for you, and have an awesome day. Boom.